All right, guys. Before we start, I want y'all to look at your little packet that I gave you, and I want you to answer the bell ringers real quick. And we're going to talk about it just like we. Is everybody done answering? May or may not. All right. Anyone want to let me know what they got for number one? Eye contact? How important do you think eye contact is when you listen to somebody? Let me ask you this: if you're talking to somebody, if you're trying to tell somebody a story, and you're giving them eye contact, or if they're not giving you eye contact, Yeah, right? So it's pretty important. Anybody else have anything? You feel like they're not worth your time? It's pretty disrespectful, isn't it? What are some other things? How can you tell if somebody's listening to you?
If they respond to you based on the topic.
If they respond to you based off the topic, like if they like what they respond to you shows that they were listening.
Yes.
Yeah. So if they like get accurate information. Say it again. Anything over here? Put eye contact as well. Eye contact. All right. How can you tell if someone is not listening to you? Anything but eye contact again. What if they're like doing something else and they're not like what if someone's like typing a paper and they're not stopping to listening? That's active listening? I don't think that's active listening. If someone's like doing something else and not paying attention to you, that's gonna be passive listening.
Some people listen differently. Like, I'm
That's
not
a good point.
someone could be reading something and if they look at you, they're paying attention because they can be focused on two different things. It's called
Multitask. Multitasking is not even like divide your attention between two different things at one time. Like you really want to give one set of something attention to something. Right. So what are the different types of listening? What are two different types of listening? Active and passive. Can anybody tell me what they think each one of them is? Yeah. So active would be paying attention, making eye contact. So what's passive?
Someone else talking.
Yeah, right. So you're listening, but are you here? Do you hear what they're saying?
Yeah.
Do you understand what they're saying? If you're passive, not listening. Sometimes maybe. You get the full picture? No. Right? Alright. So today we're going to tell the difference between active and passive listening, and then we're going to do an assignment that practices some of the traits that will demonstrate your active and passive listening. So how important do you think active and passive listening is like? How important do you think it is for you guys to know what the difference is? How important is listening in general? It might be the most important thing. If you guys don't listen, you're never going to know what's going on, right? Alright. If you guys flip your packets, not to this page that's on the back of the bell ringer, but to this sheet right here, we're going to go over this real quick. 81. I can't mark on it. Alright, I'm going to go down the list and I want you guys to, if it's active listening, give me a thumbs up. If it's passive, give me a thumbs down, alright? Active thumbs up, passive thumbs down. Alright, listening to music. You say it's active. Why do you say it's active? That's a good point. Could it be both? Yeah, so what's an example of listening to music that's active?
You're by yourself,
You're listening though.
by yourself in your car, listening to music.
If you really, so let me say, if you're paying attention to the words in the song, is that active listening? That's active, right? If you're doing homework and you just put music on in the background, what's that? Passive, right? Because you're not really paying attention to the music.
But that's just listening to music. Don't say you're doing something else.
All right. But for the sake of number one, let's just assume that you're doing homework, or you're playing a sport, or you're doing something else, and music is just in the background, right? So what would it be? It'd be passive. So I want you guys, you can put a check mark or an X or a little note right there, and just make sure that you know that that's passive. All right. Number two, interrupting the speaker during a conversation. Passive.
Active.
But if
Passive.
you're engaging, you're engaging in that conversation.
You're interrupting. If you interrupt somebody, did you fully hear what they said?
No.
No. You just kind of get your words out.
Yeah, Tom.
What's wrong with interrupting someone while they're speaking?
It's impolite.
Impolite. It's rude, right? No, so that one's going to be passive as well. Showing interest by nodding to what the speaker is saying.
Active.
Active, right? Why is that active?
Physical movement.
Huh? What does nodding your head show the speaker? That you're engaged, right? Remember when you guys were presenting up here? Did any of you ever like look at everybody and see some people like nod their heads, paying attention?
The whole time.
Yeah. So is that when you're speaking to the class and someone looks at you and making eye contact and nodding their head like they're paying attention and they understand what you're saying, does that make you feel better? Does that make you feel more comfortable?
Yeah.
Right?
I look at him, nod my head, I just feel I'm listening. I don't talk about it.
I mean,
Yeah, I'm listening.
a lot of the times, if you're listening to somebody, nodding your head just kind of comes naturally.
I do listen.
Like if you're just like you just kind of bob your head up and down, you don't really think about it, do you?
I don't know. I kind of think about it. It's just sometimes I don't really necessarily understand it, but I try to listen.
No, there's a difference between not being able to understand something and actively listening. Because I took math class
I listen to
last
it,
year,
but it takes me a little bit longer to comfort.
and I was actively listening. Right, so here. So I took college math last year, fall semester. I don't do math. I don't like math. But I was actively listening to my professor, right? But did I understand what she was saying? Most of the time, no. But that doesn't mean I wasn't paying attention and giving her head nods and making her feel like she was being heard, right?
But I didn't pay attention. I just didn't understand it. It's like I would be listening to you, it's just I wouldn't understand what it is we were.
Yeah, so nodding your head is gonna be active listening. That's actually a big part of active listening, especially if you're taking classes, or if you're going to tech school, or if you're at a job and you're talking to your boss. If you nod your head, give them eye contact, it goes a long way. All right, number 4, sitting quietly and not responding. What do you guys think? Passive? What?
You're just there. You're not in the
You're just there, right? Are you participating in the conversation?
Yes, but you're listening, so you're in the conversation, but you're just not talking in the conversation.
All right, you could be listening, but you're not doing anything.
You're
You're sitting quietly, not responding, probably just staring off into space. You could understand everything. You could understand every single word the speaker was saying, but if you're not giving them eye contact or nodding your head or showing some cues of active listening, are they going to think that you're understanding what they're saying? Right?
I'll start talking. If I don't have your eye contact, I'll start talking. I'll quit talking.
So if you're sitting quietly and not responding, it's going to be passive. Right? Demonstrating an understanding of what is being said. That's active. That's what we said earlier in the bell ring, right? When you respond to that person, you need to make sure it's accurate. And if you respond well, it shows that you're listening. paraphrasing what is being said. Anybody tell me what paraphrasing means?
Oh, parasailing
Not the same thing.
In which form of
What's paraphrasing? Quote the back, right? What's the key word? Like in any definition of paraphrasing, what are the key words? In your own words.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So paraphrasing is rephrasing what the speaker said in your own words. Is that similar to demonstrating an understanding of what is being said? I think they're pretty much one and the same. If you're paraphrasing what is being said, you're demonstrating an understanding of what the speaker is saying, right? You're saying, oh, I got that, and I can even put it in my own words to make it simpler for myself. So hearing what is said without retaining the content from the speaker. Passive, right? Why is that passive? What is it the opposite of?
Because it says you're not listening. I mean, you're listening, but you're not acknowledging it.
Yeah, you're not picking up on what they're saying, right? What's that the opposite of that we just went over? Specifically 5, right? So demonstrating and understanding what is being said, and hearing what is said without retaining the content from the speaker. Those are textbook definitions of passive and active listening, right? Fading in and out of the conversation. Passive. Can someone give me an example of that?
My ADHD does this to me. If I'm in the middle of a conversation with someone, I'll like zone out of nowhere, and then I'll go back in.
I've done this so many times.
Have you ever been talking to someone and you accidentally just start thinking, your mind starts roaming, and then you kind of zone back in on the conversation, and then you're completely lost because you have no idea what they said for the next
It
10
happens
minutes?
way too often.
Yeah. No, when that happens, you get completely lost, don't you? And then you try to fight your way back into the conversation without disrespecting them by saying something that you should know already.
Like my wife did, completely just lost the train of thought. That's usually what my
Here's another example. When you guys are reading, if you guys are ever reading a book that you find completely boring, and then next thing you know, you've read 3 pages, but you've just been moving your eyes across the words. You've been looking at words, but you haven't been reading.
I'll be honest, I read the back of the book, and
Yes.
then I'll open in the middle, and I'll go read the rest of it.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't read. I might have read 2 whole books, and they're one big name.
Cat in the Hat.
Like big name,
I've read maybe 4 books, and only one of them was maybe that big.
I read 2 pages of one.
Alright, so fading in and out of the conversation, that's going to be passive. Alright, next one should be pretty easy. Maintaining eye contact. Active listening, right? Shows that you respect them. Concentrating on the speaker instead of the content. Passive.
Johnny's good at this.
Why is that passive?
It's doing 2 things at once.
I don't know if you're doing 2 things at once because you're just concentrating on the speaker, right? So if you're conversing with somebody and you're not listening to a word that's being said, you're just staring at them, right?
I would love to listen to him.
That's gonna be
You
passive.
talk to a pretty girl and all you thinking about is what she looks like. And you don't hear a word she says.
No, you can do what I'm saying.
Alright, so that's gonna be passive. Let's look at the opposite. Concentrating on the content instead of the speaker.
That's active.
Active, right?
Yeah.
Why is that active? You're focusing on what is being said in the conversation.
I will do this.
And
If
then-
it's like a presentation, and there's like pictures or a video, I will completely zone out with their zone, and I'll just like look at the pictures or something. I'll just
Alright, if you are concentrating on the content instead of the speaker, so active listening, what can you do to demonstrate that you've been listening to?
ask a question.
You can ask a question, right? Paraphrasing?
Yeah. And if you demonstrate it, just trying to.
So you would show an understanding of the content that they just spoke, right?
Ask the question. They had a question for you.
I'm paraphrasing.
If they had a question for you, answer it.
Yeah. If they ask you a question, answer it. you have a question, ask them, right? It shows that you care about it.
Add to their content, like Gage did. I forgot who.
He did the planning.
Yeah.
I call it the most right now.
All right, spends more time talking than listening. Ask them. What does it show when you're trying to talk to somebody and they just keep talking? Disrespect. Right? You don't want that. If you're talking to somebody, you want them to listen to you. Doesn't mean they can't talk. Doesn't mean they can't, like, respectfully interrupt you and say, "Hey, I got something to say." But if they're talking while you're talking, then it's extremely disrespectful.
Jordan.
I can think of a couple examples that probably happened in the school. Spends more time talking than listening. Spends more time listening than talking. Active, right? Why is that active? Give me an example. Give me something.
You said one? An example of number 14? When you, that whole group over there. When you hear everything, but you don't answer questions. That whole group right there. Okay. I'll land back right there. And
Right?
the conversation came to my food.
You guys spend way more time talking than listening.
Yeah. They're just listening.
But look at, is there kind of like a healthy middle ground between those two?
Yeah.
Right? If you're trying to talk to somebody, isn't there supposed to be a response? Every now and then, if you're having a conversation, you want them to talk back to you.
Unless you get something from the boss.
You gotta read the room there. You gotta have some feel, right? But when you're talking to somebody, you don't want it to just be a one-way conversation. Now, sometimes that would be warranted, but in this case, you want them to talk to him. You don't want them to interrupt you. 14. Finishes the sentences of the speaker.
So annoying.
That's it, right? It's pretty disrespectful. If it's not, yeah.
Yeah.
And then someone will say,
Alright, number 15. Moves the conversations to their interests. Ask it. Have you ever been talking to somebody, or have you yourself been talking, like, you've been in a conversation, you find it really boring, and so you just want to talk about yourself the entire time? Or have you ever talked about yourself in a conversation without realizing that you're just going, yeah, about, like, only about yourself?
sometimes they'll just start talking. That's crazy.
Have you ever met someone and they only talk about themselves? Yeah, so if you meet someone and they only talk about themselves, you probably want to try to find a healthy middle ground. Right? You don't always just want to be talking about yourself. Multitasking while listening. Passive, right? Can we multitask effectively?
I can write and listen. I can't write and figure out right and I'm thinking.
Alright, raise a hand. Who thinks that they can multitask effectively?
Driving trains.
What about multitasking like in conversation? Like what if you're trying to do a homework assignment and someone's having a full-on conversation with you, right? Can you do that?
I'll just walk around. I'll just like, I can't do it when I'm writing. Because like when I'm writing, I'll start listening and then I'll write what they said.
If you're trying to use your brain, if you're trying to do schoolwork or something,
I do it
it's gonna be
because
possible.
Jordan all the time because he never stops talking. Just keep going.
You call passive listening multitasking. That be multitasking or
Not really. I felt like he was calling someone else.
When I say multitasking, I'm talking about like you are doing,
Driving and reading at the same time.
yeah, you know what I mean? You're doing two separate cognitive actions. You know what I mean by that?
I can drink and drive.
Split your brain in half.
I can drink and drive. Like not alcohol. Yeah, drink and drive. I can drink and drive.
Adam can eat and drive.
Adam can eat and drive. Adam can do all things and drive. So confused.
You think it's possible to get better at multitasking?
Yeah.
I would say so.
The mother.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't start doing it like you know, then y'all start tying up the speakers, say all of their cell phones. The kids, so they can start multitasking. So when they learn to speak.
Alright, let me ask y'all this. Do you think multitasking can come off as disrespectful? Sometimes, right? Definitely.
Depends on what they're doing.
Right? If someone is doing a task and gives something really important to say to them and they don't stop, are you going to be a little bit offended? You would be? And you just have the most important thing to tell them that you care so much about.
That's their fault. That's my fault.
It stands for hours, tapping you on the shoulder.
And then he's gonna be like the very last time.
Alright, number 17. Listening and observing nonverbal communication to understand the full context of the message. That's how it works. Active, right? So listening and observing nonverbal communication to understand the full context of the message. What's nonverbal communication? Eye contact, right?
Hands above your waist.
I mean, we've already been over a bunch of them. Just
Hands back to the waving your hand on your ass.
what about like head nodding, right? Nonverbal communication. What's that, Shell? Yeah, you might as well just scream. You might as well just be screaming. I'm paying attention to you.
Facial
Nonverbal communication. So is nonverbal communication important in active listening?
I will be forced to
Yes. Alright, 18. Repeats key points once the speaker is finished. Active. Same as paraphrasing, right? Focusing solely on the speaker. Why? I can see why you would think that, actually. That is the same one. Concentrating on the speaker instead of the content. And this one's focusing solely on the speaker. So it's going to be active, but I see why you think that. Because if you're focusing, it kind of means like you are focusing on the speaker solely. You're not focusing on something else outside of the speaker. Alright, taking notes while the speaker is speaking. Active, right? Why is that active?
Because you're taking notes, you don't want to write something else.
You're taking notes, right? You're paying attention.
If you're talking about, like I'm taking notes on that, that'd be passive.
That's passive because you're not on topic, right? Are you distracted then because you're not listening? You're doing something on your own?
But not math.
Is there anybody in here who, like, when they take notes, they kind of tune out whoever's talking? You kind of do that? Because that's what I do. I take really short notes.
Now, they got them on the board, and they're still.
Because if I'm writing down everything they're saying, I end up not even hearing them because I'm literally only writing what they're saying.
Now, if they got the notes on the board, but they're still reading them out loud, I'd rather just listen to music.
Yeah.
Because then I'm trying to find everything.
Yeah, you just want to start writing, right? So would that be multitasking, having to listen to the teacher and writing at the same time?
So y'all found that those teachers that do stuff like this, instead of having you write everything down now, because they found out that you can't do that. So they're giving you like an outline or something like that to fill in.
Yeah, like Miss Stevens did that. You have to fill in the blanks. Yeah. And then at the end, because that was our study guide, so at the end of the week before the test, we do like 50 questions.
It was so much easier.
Yeah, that was so easy. Rose will do that. Rose will do that.
Yeah, well, oh my God. Before that.
But Parson, I like from here in Parson because we keep slides real short. Like when I had like, like the whole slide, it was
Like a paragraph, no.
yeah. Like the longest I had to type yesterday in Parsons was like 2 sentences and it was for surgery or something like that.
The rule of whatever happened, the rule of.
Parson does. Parson, I showed him mine. He's short typed like 3 letters.
Alright, I'm gonna hand out this real quick.
You don't do that there, type close. Working. Yeah, we see these.
He doesn't have the central authority to get over the I mean, you could, like.
That is separate.
Wait, it's supposed to.
They need way permission for all fair cards.
Yes.
Dude, I looked at 10th on my test. Miss Wood.
Oh, 20?
Alright, anybody not get a rubric?
Yeah, we're good.
Here.
Huh?
Miss Wood.
That's pretty good.
The date on my test is also
It
10th.
literally says.
I'll give you a 4.5. On the test, the date of the exam, took it on 12. 4.5.
If you guys would just turn your packets, I think it's one page over to this listening activity right here.
Oh,
Along the lines of. Alright, I want you guys to write a story about your first day of high school in the space below using complete sentences just for 5 minutes. So just, you can even time yourself, just take 5 minutes to write a short little story. I'd say like around 4 to 6, 7 sentences. Max, doesn't need to be that long.
My very first day? The last first day.
You can talk, okay, let's do this. You can talk about your first day of senior year, or you can talk about your first day of freshman year.
I do not remember about freshman year at all.
Do you remember your first day of senior year?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can write about that.
It was like 3 weeks ago.
Alright, when time is up, you're gonna take turns sharing the story between groups of 3. So you're gonna get into groups of 3. And I'll help you guys out and find your partners. So each person in your group is going to take on a role. There's going to be a speaker, the person telling the story, the active listener, the person listening to the story, and the evaluator, the person that's going to evaluate the active listener. And then the evaluator is going to use that rubric to evaluate what is being said. All members will take on a different role, and you're all going to be a different role within your group. All right. When you're finished, share out your feedback with your evaluee. So your evaluee, the person using the rubric to evaluate you, you should write a couple of notes on the sheet. And what I want y'all to do is take a look back at this sheet right here. And I want you to. Okay. And I want you to. I want you to put at least 3 different cues that person used while they were actively listening, right? So if the person was nodding their head, then I want you to write down nodding their head. If they were making eye contact, write down making eye contact. And if they were showing any like passive listening skills, I want you to tell them that too, because I need everybody to understand if they are passive listening or active listening. All right. If you guys want to take 5 minutes to start writing your stories, go ahead right now.
I walked into a school and
That's not, that's a short story. That's a sentence. It's not a story. I ain't worked. Oh. My first day here. Literally, in my brain, this is the last time.
We didn't even do anything. I don't even know if I can get
That's the last of my brain.
I think all the projects that's on my house is worth $200.
It's not.
They went through Chris.
What if we don't have her up for the first next Make something up.
I'm not reading the soundness of your story. You can't remember your first day, just write about something that happened like yesterday. Or today. Something that already happened. You really have a hard time remembering even your first day of senior year. Just write something interesting that happened to you this past week. Or yesterday. That's a pretty something.
Corbin's got the meanest kidney stone in the world. That ain't gonna be a kidney stone. His kidney stone? Are you kidding? Kidney? Meaning is a construct that is alive. I will never forget the day. He brought that bubbly. I choked yesterday. Nothing much.
You told me that.
That's not healthy. Oh, it is. It's not healthy. I brought it to you. Yeah, my heart will go boom. That's not healthy at all. It's good. Do not drink them out. Do it all. Somebody drink water.
Do drink 4 months. Drink them out when you run after.
I drank half a can.
2 minutes left. I want you guys to write. You guys are screwed. You know, you guys are writing like your first period.
I mean,
If it was boring. Exciting, boring, normal. Is it interesting? You write about it. It's not interesting to write how boring it is. Yeah.
I don't.
You write first period? You write about this concept? You can write about something, right? I'm trying to think about one thing that happened yesterday that was kind of interesting. Anyway, what did you do in this class yesterday? What'd you do?
I'm not kidding, man.
I need a drink. If Corbin passes out these class, I will not be surprised. His blood sugar should never be low. I got nervous when she said slide, but then she said we only need a few words. Plus she's gonna make it type up a paragraph. I gotta use my skills for this class. I gotta present to that. I gotta go for 3 minutes. The slides are 8 slides. For the few words. I'm only having one kid that's 3 minutes, so it's supposed to get messing up words.
Alright, I'm gonna give y'all like 5 more minutes to keep writing. If you haven't finished yet. No, I just can't. Like my legs, I have to constantly move my legs. It really gets on my nerves because if the desk in front of me don't have a basket under it, Miss when the desk in front of me doesn't have a basket underneath it, because I always want to put my feet on the basket. This is because I'm big. Really, John. That's like 6 hands. It has to be. At least more than 6. John? I want to tackle John so bad. He jumps too high for the frisbee, man. He jumps too big to be jumping that high and just knocking you over. His head top was like 90 pounds yesterday. Now, Kamari's looks like beer. Is it a beer? No, When you speak in the whole point of the assignment is for them to look at the listener's abilities, right?
If Fulton walks in, we're screwed. We're screwed. Me and him are only a beard. We're screwed. We're screwed. I don't need your. I'm not. I would just inhale it, but I'm not doing it. I think if I like did the little blow out
I want everybody to pull out this rubric. We're gonna go over this rubric real quick. So the evaluator knows what they're looking at. All right. Done? Can you read under number one, no evidence?
Not demonstrate any maintaining interpreting the nonverbal or the verbal message.
All right. So if they show no evidence, absolutely none at all, then you give them a point, right? All right. Number two, training level. Student demonstrates little evidence of the characteristics associated with active listening, maintaining eye contact, taking notes, paraphrasing, and so on. Because the ones later is going to be the same words as you go on. So training level number two, student demonstrates little evidence of the characteristics associated with active listening. Approaching entry level, student demonstrates some of the characteristics associated with active listening. How do so if we're looking at these different rubric scores, how do we determine what's like little evidence or some evidence? What do you think we could do? Paraphrase?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Say what he said back.
That's good. All right, well here, let's say training level had little evidence, approaching entry level has some characteristics. What about entry level? Entry level has most of the characteristics.
Pretty good, but still ain't perfect.
Still ain't perfect. Exceeds entry level, number five, student fully demonstrates the characteristics associated with active listening. Maintaining eye contact, taking notes, paraphrasing, listening intently to the content of the message, interpreting the nonverbal as well as the verbal message, and refraining from interrupting the speaker. If you do all of those, you'll get 5, right? Your evaluator will give you a 5. So what do you need to do?
I'm not taking that.
It's right there in front of you. If you look at the words right below, student fully demonstrates the characteristics associated with active listening in parentheses. So while you guys are listening, I want you to strive to do all that right there.
We gotta take notes on what you're saying.
You don't have to take notes. But I want you to show eye contact and show that you're active listening. So don't interrupt the speaker. Don't interrupt. Don't do anything. Don't do anything active listening conversation. All right. So I want you guys to get into groups of 3. If anybody doesn't have a group of 3, just let me know real quick. And I'll put you in a group. Y'all 3? Yeah. Y'all in group 2?
We have a group 5, right?
You want to be in a group up here? Smiley? You want to be in a group right here? Kenny? Thank you. All right, you guys want to move right here so you can see the smile? Thank you.
Miss Wood. I might be here late tomorrow. Because tomorrow's the first day of hunting season. Tomorrow's first day of hunting season. What you want? I'll probably see Donnie randomly every once in a while. I'll probably see you randomly every once in a while. Somewhere far from here.
And I want, if you're evaluating this community, so you're
I said,
who's speaking? You are? Who's listening? Anybody ask any questions? I heard somebody else ask a question. Ask the question, answer some questions.
Well, it really depends. If I'm going, my brother would be here, but if I'm going to my house, I'll be here.
I tried. I really tried.
I know.
I just took a guess.
It's a 4. He did two things and they just put the full.
Y'all live in the suburbs, or do you have a lot of land?
He is a suburb.
Do you have a lot of land? Or do you live in the suburbs? Oh, I'm good reasonable.
Nigga. It may be very uncomfortable.
I can tell what you're doing.
I can regulation.
I can tell what you're going
I got 45
I'm pretty sure you can get married.
Make sure you run the person shooting I think in the second you just put their name on their sheet and then evaluate someone else. Whoever you evaluated on
Instant trauma.
Hey, when you all start to finish, just raise your hand and I'll come grab your papers from you. I'm gonna grab the rubrics first, alright? Just the rubrics first, and then I'll grab Mr. Bernard.
I literally wrote a sentence.
My body's from hello there.
Not cool. This is without blinking, not blinking, nothing. Your soul.
Make sure y'all got your name.
Thank you.
Also have the date on
What pack is that? Let me get y'all's packets.
I don't care.
Lucas. Well, most of it was gone. It's just like little drinking it too.
Wait.
Huh?
This is that one was on my list.
That's almost like.
What the